Hi guys, welcome back to the SOS Self Over Sickle podcast. We're here in the pod at the White City Place. Today we'll be talking about relationship goals. So just introduce ourselves. I'm Stefan and I'm here with
Jenica Leah,
Siann Taylor,
Adet,
Kareemah Newton.
So it's February, guys.
Yeah.
the month of love.
Apparently.
Yes.
The month of spontaneousness.
So,
Is it? Who's got a Valentine?
I haven't had one for about 3 years, so that's non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent over here.
You know, just putting things into the future. Hopefully, you know, maybe, I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
We should
Just
speak into
hope.
existence.
Yeah.
right now my books is kind of my love of my life. I'm stuck with lots of exams. Oh man, it's deep.
Oh, gosh.
Be my Valentine.
I mean, do you do the whole girls thing? Like, you know, some people do it with their girls. They each other, no?
Yeah, I've done that once.
Really?
Yeah, me too.
How'd you
But it's not really the same though, is it?
No.
I felt sad. I felt like a sad person. But okay, before we carry on, don't forget the launch event that we're having on the 26th of March in Croydon. So look out for more information on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have a new person with us today.
Hello.
Yes. Chanel, do you want to just give a little intro maybe?
Hi guys. My name is Chanel. I have a sickle cell charity called Unsickle Myself, so I just do work around BAME donation, advocate for sickle cell, and me being a sickle cell sufferer myself, and just go out into the community and just do a lot of outreach work, really. And I'm here with you, beautiful warriors, also.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yes.
So today we're talking about relationship goals, obviously, because it's the month of love. It's February. Valentine's Day is coming up. How do you guys feel in terms of like relationships and, you know, with your sickle cells, in terms of like having a partner then? Like, does anyone, I don't know, has anyone got any experiences, or how have you found it, if anyone has had any partners?
I mean,
No, first of all, let's ask a question. When do you think it's a good idea to tell someone that you might be seeing then?
when you have
If
you
you
have
have
sickle
sickle cell. Do you tell them? Do you not? Do you tell them at the start? Do you slip it in? How? There's no right or wrong answer. I don't think.
Yeah.
So for me, like, let's say when I was, because it was uni when I started intermingling, you know, so before, let's say at uni, I didn't say much. My friends didn't even know that I had sickle cell, so it took me a while before I let people know. But once my health started to like dive, and I started to realise that it was a bit, if I'm in hospital and someone's going to want to call me and talk to me, there's so many stories I can make up, you know, or be like, someone might be asking, oh, what are you doing today? I might be unwell. I just couldn't lie. So I was like, okay, it was easier for me to let them know relatively earlier on, because I was having a chronic condition on top of it. It was just like, I'd have so many health appointments that I mentally just couldn't start coming up with other stories of what I was doing with my life. So it was easier for me to just be like, yeah, I have a health condition, this is what it is.
Can I ask what excuses you used to come up with?
Like, there'll be one time, I was in hospital, and I was in my hospital, there was like beeping in the background, and I was talking to some guy, and he was like, oh, what's going on, like, where are you? And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm indoors. Well, it's like, that doesn't, you know, and I'm a bad liar. I am indoors, you know, but I'm a bad liar, so it didn't go to, it was, that was
Did he believe you?
I don't even know. He just probably thought this girl, like, or my days didn't add up. It's like, you know, most people, like, a lot of people might be going to work 9 to 5. I really wasn't doing that. So it was even tricky with that, because I used to have a hella lot of appointments. So some days I might be waking up later, then I'll go to a health appointment. I might have blood exchanges. It's just, on top of trying to explain, so I either wouldn't tell people what I was doing, and if they asked me that day, I'd just be like, oh, I've got a meeting or something. But even that, so if you have a partner, you want to be honest, kind of. That's how I felt like. So I had to, but besides that, Yeah, it's the whole being and being on high medication sometimes was my issue. Like some of the things I would say when I'm on like really high dosage of medication would be crazy. So
That's a sticky one.
yeah. So you know, you have to like, they might remind you what you've said. It's okay. That's a note that can be explained later.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, it was just easier for me to just kind of like be like, yeah, I've got a health condition. Especially my walking was an issue as well. So it's not as bad right now. But when it's really cold, I walk slower, or I would be limping, or I used to have crutches. So if I'm walking extremely slow and you're with me, how many stories can how long is my leg? I don't know. How many stories can I make up? I just be like, look, today is not the day. My legs are aching, and there's a reason behind it, and they understand the reason. So they're more sympathetic to, not sympathetic, but understanding to like come at my pace. Like I will pull people back and be like, no, you're walking with me. Like walk slowly. So it just made it easier for me. But then I know, like, if I didn't, when it wasn't obvious, I didn't really, me having to tell anyone wasn't, you know, I understand when people don't feel okay or free enough to let someone know earlier. It's, you grow and then you decide whether you want to do it or not.
So sometimes it doesn't feel as important then.
Yeah, at the time, it's like, if you're living a relatively seamless life, you're not having that many appointments, or you're not in and out of hospital, because there are some sicklers that are like that, and then them having to tell someone straight away or early in the relationship, it doesn't, it's not even what's the point really?
In my opinion, I think it's important to tell someone as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But I've been in really weird situations where I haven't had that chance to tell you because I've been quite well, and it's probably just not in my head at the moment.
Yeah.
However, there was this one scenario where
Story time.
Story time. Guys, story time. So I was out many winters ago. You know where it's going.
The winter came.
It's winter, and so this girl was like, "Yeah, let's go out, let's catch something, get something to eat." So I was like, "Cool, we're going indoors. We're gonna sit down, no problem." And so I didn't think, you know, maybe I didn't need to bring an extra hoodie or anything.
Netflix and chill.
Oh, not those ones.
So what happened? We met up, and you know, she wanted to be spontaneous. I'm like, great, okay. I didn't plan for spontaneity.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous. So what happened was, she was like, let's go walking around. I want to see more of the city. I was like, okay.
Oh, sorry, wait, was she not from the city?
No, she wasn't from the city. No.
Did you come fully equipped? As in attire, coat,
No,
and
because I thought we were just sitting indoors in a restaurant. You know, straight from the train station indoors.
Continue.
We can already, yes.
So for me, I was like, okay, cool. Let's not kill the vibe. Let's go walking for a bit. Let's go walking. I didn't expect to go walking for too long. Little did I know, it went on for a very long time. And you know, people say like chivalry is dead. In this scenario, it had to kind of stay dead for me. She was shivering. She was actually physically shivering, and I'm like, I only have one jacket.
did you offer the jacket?
No, chivalry had to stay dead. I kept myself warm.
As sicklers do.
From then on, I had to realize that I need to find a way around this. Maybe take an extra hoodie. Plan for spontaneity.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah, especially in the winter.
So how did she take this?
I don't know. We did not talk about it. All I know is I must be an absolute jerk. And
She didn't think that, you know, but
I was staying warm. She was shivering. I don't know.
Did you ever let her know? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Did you ever let her know?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
But at this point in time, she must have just thought, why is he letting me stay cold?
This is a test. Strike one.
red flag.
At the time, in my head, I was like, I don't want to be making excuses. I want to come with, hey, I'm sick. And at that moment, so I'll tell you in the future, but I just didn't feel comfortable telling you now.
Yeah.
And it was a pride thing as well, you know.
Yeah.
That got in the way, and eventually she did find out, and
Okay.
everything was cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when she started shivering, was it then time to start walking? Then I'm guessing.
Be like, oh, come on,
What
let's go back
happened?
inside. Or
Yeah.
did you lot just
Did
be
you just
like,
firm the cold?
Yeah.
It just firmed it, grabbed some
Yeah.
hot chocolate, and then went back out and firmed it.
wow. No, that's
I feel
hilarious.
like you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
it was affecting your health. You have to. It's kind of hard, but you made the right call for your health, even if you may not have known at the time. Yeah, I think you made
Yeah.
the right decision.
So we're saying health is more important than you know.
I'm sorry,
Your partner.
but
Yeah, because I'm the one
would
that
she
will.
come to the hospital
Yeah.
at that time? Not
Thank
yeah,
you,
maybe
yeah.
she might not, but making that risk if I'm gonna like be healthy-ish
Yeah,
or go home and not have as much issues when I get home, then I kind of. But I didn't think about it from a male's point of view in a sense of like I'm gonna take my jacket off, because females I wouldn't need to take my jacket off for a guy anyway.
I
So
know.
most
see,
times I'll be
she-
like,
at least the
please.
thought was there.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
even other people, that thought won't even be there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a-
And you've done it
that's
for
a
health reasons also, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to.
Lord.
And
It's like you're the one that's going to be facing the consequence if you was to give her your jacket. And in regards to the
Massive.
hospital, if you was in hospital, would she like be there? If like say you gave her the jacket and then you end up in hospital, would she be like, oh, he killed my jacket for me? Yeah, and then it'll be a bit weird, sticky. But yeah.
I think when choosing someone to date, you kind of have to think of quite several factors.
Yeah.
Can they handle it emotionally? Do they have time to come to the clinics with me or come to the hospital? Will they see me? And it's so much to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I sit on the fence. I think depending on everyone's circumstances is different. I think in one sense, if you are dating someone and you do feel like it's going somewhere, you feel, okay, maybe I should disclose this. Maybe I should let him know that, you know, I do have sickle cell, because maybe he can be there to understand and, you know, just be there for you, be attentive towards your needs. On the other hand, you can also not tell anyone and it could be completely different, you know. But at the same time, going back to my point of telling someone, the point I wanted to make was you can tell someone that you have sickle cell, but you can tell someone that you have sickle cell. You can also let them know how it affects you. You can also let them know you take medication. You know, if I'm in a bad mood or my mannerisms are this way, you know, be emotionally intelligent towards my needs. Sometimes you get people that are really assertive, and there's some people that are like, oh, she's sick again. Like, what do you do kind of thing as well. So for me, I've been in both scenarios as well. So I think the next time, or if I was going to be in a relationship, I'll be very cautious in how and when I tell that person, you know, I do have sickle cell, because we'll get that to the story in a minute, well, later on in the session. But I just really feel like it can be a hit and miss. You kind of go on face value. You kind of go on, you know, how that person's treating you as well. And, you know, oh, he's taking me out, or she's taking me out, or we're going out together, or we're doing this, and this person cares for me. And again, when you're laid out flat, or you've just cancelled an appointment or cancelled a date, you then know how the person reacts and responds, and that kind of gives you an inkling of how the relationship or the dating thing will be as well. So I'm kind of like on the fence, only because I do believe it depends on individuals, the person that you're with, and other contributing factors also as well.
I'm going to play devil's advocate though, because I feel like obviously we put the question out there, and I feel like everyone's answers has been relatively leaning towards how you feel, as in what the other person will think of you or how the other person might treat you. But what about the fact of they might be a carrier and you are, obviously everyone around this table actually has full-blown sickle cell. So
If you
what
don't
are
have
you
that-
waiting for? Like, you might just be wasting your whole time. Like, if you have trait,
Yeah.
or you may not be, because some people, like, there's couples that will both
Yeah.
have sickle cell and they're happy to be together, fall in love. I think the people that I know that have done that ended up falling for each other, not knowing that each other had the trait or had the full-blown sickle cell, and then, you know, you're already in love, so you're just going to go with it.
Yeah.
But do you think that maybe the whole point of letting somebody know beforehand is like, if they knew, if you'd say to someone, oh, I've got sickle cell, and they know what it is, and they probably say, oh, I've got the trait,
Yeah.
then what?
That's another reason why, and I'm glad you brought up that point actually, because for me, not to say that I don't want to, it's not going to happen. For me, I think it's really important to know if your partner or whoever you're going to have a child with, because I had to do that with my child. I had to, do the testing and everything else as well, because we know Chanel's got sickle cell. And my partner at the time, he didn't have sickle cell, even though he was like, when the doctors were like, you need to come in and have a test, he's like, I haven't got anything, I know I haven't got sickle cell type of thing. So that, it eased my mind and everything else as well, kind of thing. But I think it's really, really important that you brought that subject up, only because I do know a few people that have fallen in love, had a baby, not had, they've had a sickle cell child and they're not together anymore. So with regards to relationships, I think you should be able to disclose that, and it should be disclosed in the beginning stages, because when we talk about, knowing your genotype and things like that, I think it's really important just to set that standard, raise that bar, but also educate and talk about why you're asking, do you have the trait and things like that, and just grasp that mind, that thought process basically with that person as well.
And I think even though I haven't fully entered the dating scene, I think it's quite important to let your significant other know, because I know for my parents, my mum didn't tell my dad until she was pregnant. And then my dad, he was like, I think it's with the typical African male, they have that arrogance, they're like, oh yeah, I don't have it, I don't need to get tested. And that was in the same instance as Chanel. Chanel was like, your partner didn't think he had it. And it's like, then when it came, it's like a bit of a shock. Now I know for me, I think that I would let the person know, but only if I know, I need to understand the person's, how they act. And there's a lot of underlying factors you need to, think about. I think that it's important to tell them, but only if you know if the relationship is going somewhere. And
well, I think that everybody shouldn't even get their hopes up about if you tell somebody or not, because sometimes you can tell people and people can know, and they can be like, I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to support you, we ride or die, I'm riding for you, you're riding for me. And then 7 years later might just decide that actually this ain't for me, I need to live my own life. And I've got things to do. Yeah, true story. It happened to me.
Yes.
So
Lord have mercy.
I know, these things can happen, and I think it's important to, for me, having that experience of being in a relationship, thinking that, everything was fine, even though that there's issues, and I feel like sometimes you can read a person and think, do you know what, maybe they're not okay with this, or maybe they're not coping, but I see it as it's my condition. So at the end of the day, nobody else has to deal with it if they don't want to. And I'm quite okay with that. You wasn't born with it, I was born with it. But sometimes it's hard to pick a right or wrong answer, or to know what's right or what's wrong, because at the end of the day, anything can happen at any time. So it's I don't even know.
Another thing with relationships, which is tricky, is I don't know if you lived with the person, but for me, it's if you're having a relationship with someone, they're never going to really see you throughout the everyday living kind of thing. So even then, they're not 100% well equipped. I think I'm speaking forward, but I even get fearful about the moments like my family have probably had to deal with a lot, or go through a lot with me, and seeing the days where it's so low that I'm like, God, why? And then other days where I'm happy and bubbly and I can actually move around and get out. But it's the person you're dating won't really, for me, they've never really seen those they don't see the day to day. So it's okay, once they see the day to day, I get a bit oh my gosh, are they going to be able to handle it? And it's because I know, as you said, it's a condition I was born with and I have to live with. But then it's also, you do want that person to come in and be able to support you regardless of it, because everyone has their demons, or everyone has their cross to bear. So mine right now, not right now, mine is sickle cell and probably other things, but they would probably have things that I would have to take on board, or adapt around and live with. There's other things people deal with. So it's knowing, I don't know, I think I've said a lot in that, but I hope it made sense.
I think that's why conversations are so important.
Yeah.
Where, not to shock them, and they see you on a low day.
The shock one is the issue.
Yeah. You have to be like, okay,
slowly
ease them into it.
Yeah.
This is gonna
I don't know,
happen.
man. Throw them in the deep end.
I tried to throw
What is
someone
throwing
in
them
the
in
deep
the
end.
deep end though? Like when you say throw them in the deep end, is this like having a crisis? And you know, and then like letting them know that you're having a crisis so that they can see you in that moment, in that time, and then you see how they respond.
I don't know.
mean,
If
I don't
can-
even think it would be an intentional thing, but I feel like I've had experiences where, you know, when then people say, "Oh, see you," what's that saying? See me at my worst, and then love me at my best, or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Not like, okay, I'm having a crisis. Let me see how he's going to react. But
Yeah.
depending on the person that you're with, if you're not feeling well, how much do you allow? How much do you let them in? And when is the right time to let them in? So you're not feeling well. They might contact you depending on what kind of person he or she is. Do you need anything? Can I bring you something?
Yeah.
Then you're faced with that answer or the question of, do I let them see me like this?
Yeah.
Do I lie and say no, I'm fine? Or like,
It's like gritting
what
through
do
your
you
teeth
do?
and lying
It's
as
kind of
well
like,
as well.
do I let them see me and then just, I don't even know.
That's why I believe it's quite good, even though you said throw them in at the deep end. I think it's good to tell them at the start because
They're kind of prepared.
because they're kind of prepared, and it's like you can educate because a lot of people don't know about sickle cell. So if you tell them at the start or at a stage where you believe the relationship is going somewhere, they can like be aware of the certain things that can happen and how they should respond. And then like in the sense of like, okay, you're sick and they want to bring you something, then it's like you don't feel that kind of how's this person gonna feel if I tell them?
But then words and like
Actions.
scenes,
Yeah,
two completely
yeah.
different things. You said you had story time.
Story time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Story time, let's get ready.
Once upon a time.
So you touched up upon, you know, people seeing you at your worst and, you know, actions matching, you know, your words. So for me, going back 8 years, when I first started seeing my daughter's dad, I let him know that I had sickle cell. Both of us being, you know, he's from Ghana, half Ghanaian, half Jamaican. But, you know, you expect someone who, you know, once you've told them that you have sickle cell, you expect them to kind of have an inkling of what sickle cell is, especially it being predominantly Afro-Caribbean. So, you know, me and my daughter's dad dating for a long time. And, you know, as you do, you get intimate. Do you understand? I also let him know that, you know, I have sickle cell, and there was these days where it affected me mainly at night when I was with him. So I let him know, you know, I get cold, I get really fatigued, I get tired, you know. And there was this one day, right, where we were sleeping, and as men do, sorry, you know, you're trying to be intimate and things like that. No, but this is the realest thing that I've ever actually had to experience with regards to me moving forward with a man and just, you know, looking out for those little signs and then just taking those steps into, you know, how I'm going to let that person know I have sickle cell and how he's going to deal with me and how he's going to handle that situation. Literally, it was one of those nights where I've never said no to you before. Do you know what I mean? I've been, you know, okay and cool and things like that. But there was that one day I was so, like, my legs were in pain. I had cramps in the side. And I basically let him know that, you know, tonight's not a good night. Tonight, it's not happening. Nothing ain't going down kind of thing. So, you know, he turned round. You know, there's me thinking that, you know, right, he's just typical upset or whatever. No. As he turned round, I, you know, make sure that I was, you know, fully equipped with medication, went to go and get my hot water bottle and things like that and just stay in my bed. My child's dad, and I'm saying it out there, he got up, he left, and he went back to his house. Now, I lived in Milton Keynes at the time. He got up and he went back to his house in East London at the time. That's where he lives. Now, when I woke up in the morning, no one's there. Like, that pain and that experience, I just remember it like yesterday. It hurt me. It broke me. It really did. But this is the man that I chose to have a baby with. This is the man that I let you know that I have sickle cell, so I'm expecting you to care for me. I'm expecting you to be there for me. I'm expecting you to just, you know, be there and care for my needs as, you know, as my man. And I'm your woman. I'm, you know, your baby, your wife to be or whatever at the time. You know, so going through that experience with him, it just made me realise that you can tell people that you have sickle cell. You can tell them that this is how it affects you. You can also tell them that, you know, when I'm in this stage, this is how I want you to deal with me. When I'm feeling like this, you know, look out for these signs. But you know what? Actions and words are really, really different as well. So for me, we're in a good space now, thank the Lord, because there is a Lord. But, you know, I think that's one of the things that we always talk about, and I think he feels guilty about now because we're not together and whatever. But
Hindsight helped.
In hindsight it helped, but I had to go through that experience just so that I'm careful next time and when I'm choosing, you know, who to date and who to be around me as well, because for me, I'm quite stubborn. And I think you mentioned in the introduction at one point that, you know, you don't cry when you're in pain and things like that.
Yeah.
I've got rest in B face all the time because I'm always in pain. I'm always in pain as well. So for me to explain that and then for you to ignore that and dismiss my feelings like that, I would never put myself in a vulnerable situation ever again. So with regards to, you know, go back to the question with, should you tell someone in the beginning stages? Yeah and no, but at the same time, it all depends on that person. So for me, I don't think it's a burden or anything. I don't hold no feelings, but again, it's all experience. At the time, I would not be talking about it like I'm talking about it now, because I can laugh a little bit about it, you know. But at the time, no.
It's like you actually are vulnerable a lot in this situation. It's like you're forced to be vulnerable,
And
like
strong at the same time.
Yeah, like, you know, there's times where you might not expect to, and it just, I mean, your pain might come out or it'd be just too much, and then you kind of have to, and then you definitely would want someone, just sounds...
And you know what it is? It's like, it's that pattern. You know, when you've been consistent in the relationship and
Yeah,
you're just
and you
trying
see
to
that break.
uphold that, you know, that healthy, well-being lifestyle, and then it's like the 1 minute that I was vulnerable when you was being selfish towards your needs, you didn't care about my needs. You know, you didn't care that I was in pain or anything else. And I think that hurt the most, is that you didn't see it from my point of view kind of thing. So, sorry.
Interesting. No,
very
you don't have to
interesting.
apologize.
No, I don't want it to be like, no, because it's, you know.
No,
but you
but
need to-
I mean,
Relationships are
treating
not
people like that.
Yeah.
relationships
exactly.
are not perfect, I guess.
No.
People are not perfect.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of them is where you have to just really just put your faith out there and just like kind of take that leap and talk about it. And I guess that's kind of why we're here, to educate people.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And educate people what's going on in your life, what Sickle is about. And I think it's really important that whoever you're with is tested as well. So you kind of break that cycle of going forward.
And make a change. I think that even though like everyone's been able to share their stories and what they think, we should all just kind of like pray and stay positive that the right partner is out there.
Oh, yeah.
For us, and the
Definitely.
right person who has the right empathy and
Definitely.
can show you the love and the support and the patience and everything like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
If you're there, I don't have a Valentine, so you know you can
Yeah.
holler at your girl. I'm joking.
But I wanted to just throw something in. I just wanted to throw something in there. Say in regards to telling the person, what if they kind of make you feel bad in a sense, like they make you feel like, oh, like you're less of a person. Like say for you, Stefan,
Bye-bye.
you're a man, so obviously that man always has that dominant role. Like the masculinity is there, and you're meant to be the person that's always initiating certain things. So in your instance, how does, like, if you've told a person before and they've been like, oh, I'm so sorry, or oh, like, God will help you, as they always say. How do you take that? Or like, how do you
So they,
deal with it?
I don't know.
So
Yeah, sorry.
being a guy and trying to date,
Yeah.
like you're saying, so being dominant for me doesn't always mean being strong,
Yeah.
but it also means like being smart.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a problem solver. I like to try and find alternative ways to do things.
Yes.
For example, like I was saying with my situation where I wasn't prepared, now I know how to be prepared.
Yeah.
And
Layers.
Layer to spare, you know. Yeah.
And also, again, being a guy kind of need to take the lead and be like, this is me, this is who I am, take it or leave it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And not be prideful and try and hide it and try and be like someone I'm not.
Yeah.
So being a guy is all about taking the lead, being smart, and just being confident in who I am. And if a girl doesn't want to be with me because of my sickle cell, then that's them. I just move on and find someone else.
no.
And
So have any of you ever experienced where, or how would you deal with it? How would you deal with this situation if you told someone and they kind of like made you feel less of a person for it, or they kind of just made you feel like,
You know that,
Oh.
I'm sorry, in regards to that, I kind of will not spend too much time. There are so many fishes in the sea.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I don't have to, if you're going to make me feel lesser. I mean, you come across other people with other conditions. They will not, it's maybe their ignorance or not understanding. If they make them feel lesser, then that's a problem with themselves. But then it might be a thing where they just don't understand the condition or whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but I won't, I'm not really like cancel them out kind of thing. I might give them time to like go and learn and gather information, but you're not going to come in my space and make me feel a certain type of way. It's that simple. So.
Oh no, cancel, control
Yeah.
out.
"Oi, bye."
The block button works.
Once people have learned, sometimes they come back stronger. So it's a hit and miss. And when you said problem solving, I remember like I was dating one dude and he was even speaking about the liking to find alternative options in terms of things us having to do, which is always great. Like rather than thinking, oh, I have to date the generic standard way, or like, sometimes Winter Wonderland, I know that sounds generic, but going out to Winter Wonderland, potentially you can do it, but it's not always the greatest thing, especially in the winter, it's so cold. So finding alternative, funner things to do, potentially, or like wrapping up. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you find that sometimes when you do tell guys that you have sickle cell, that all they want to do is do Netflix and chill, like come to my house? No, I'm not coming to your house for what?
I will.
You can go out and do
I like
things
to
in the
get out,
woods.
and you can go
Saying
to you can go to like galleries. Like I like to go to galleries. I like to go to comedy clubs. Even if I want to go to a bar, like don't even judge me, like because that's another thing when it comes to drinking and sickle cell. Everyone
gonna
has
be a
their own.
next
Whole other podcast. Because I like my wine.
My red wine
Ching, rosé.
specifically.
Okay, so we've been talking about, love and all of this stuff to do with relationships and stuff like that. I think it's important for you guys to kind of communicate and let us know what you think, because obviously we've all shared our opinions and some experiences. I feel like this is a topic that we could talk about for ages. Like we could go on and on. But let us know your thoughts on when you should tell someone if you have sickle cell, or if you're someone that's listening and you don't have sickle cell, but you was dating someone, would you want to know straight away on the first date?
Yeah.
Do you think it's too serious? Like some guys might be like, okay, why are you telling me that? Did I tell you I wasn't even wanted to? Like you said you were going to get a second date now. It might
definitely.
just be something that you're not willing to hear. So I feel like, let us know what you think in the comments and give us some suggestions on dates. So,
Oh yeah.
First dates.
some of us living with sickle cell, we don't really like the cold, although it doesn't affect us all in the same way.
No.
Yeah.
But generally, cold, but it doesn't mean that we're boring. So we don't just always want to come over, chill, or, do boring things. So share some date ideas, and maybe if not for you, for the person reading, that, it just sharing information.
Sharing is caring.
Possibly give us some like questions that when the person, if you've been in the situation where someone has told you like they've had sickle cell, how did you take it, or is there certain things that you wouldn't want to find out? Let us know, we can answer in another podcast also.
Yes.
And there is a part 2.
The next episode, we're going to be having a live Q&A. We're going to be recording live, and we're going to have some guests in here as well, still on the topic of relationships. So make sure you get your questions in. You can get at us at the Instagram page, which is @selfoversickle. And Stefan, do you want to close this up? Because I feel like you've been holding it down for the mandem. Stefan, you're the only guy in the room.
Yeah.
Face.
So,
Okay, please, everyone, just, we have the event on March the 26th.
Yep.
Come on down. And again, please, Mandem, come out, because
Don't leave him here by himself.
I'm just here by myself. It can't be me. Can't be me. So just coming out, have a good time, and keep on listening, keep on writing into us. We want to hear your ideas, and also if you want to get involved, let us know, and we're happy to have you on board.
yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And happy Valentine's Day when it
Happy
comes.
Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day.